tell me when. All right, good morning, everyone. My name's Will Nichols. And before I start, I just want to ask for a volunteer real quick. Yes, you. Because this was not predetermined at all. I'm just going to borrow this for a second, okay? And are you okay with this?
Not really.
Okay. Well, why is that?
Just my personal device. It's a part of me.
Right. It's private, correct?
Yes.
You don't like people looking through it.
No.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize.
Okay.
Today I'm going to be talking about the Patriot Act. And what happened just now happened on a much larger scale over the past 10 years. So have any of you sent an email or a text or made a phone call in, let's say, the past 10 years? I would assume so, right? If that's the case, then you're subject to these illegal search and seizures that have been a part of the Patriot Act. Through my extensive research and some of my background as a criminal justice major at Temple, I've come to find that the Patriot Act has broken certain constitutional rights that are given to the individuals. So without further ado, let me get right into the Patriot Act itself. I'm also going to discuss the way the Patriot Act violates some of our civil liberties and what we can do about it moving forwards. So the Patriot Act itself was introduced into Congress in 2001 following the attacks of September 11th. The forerunner for the bill was Wisconsin Republican Representative Jim, and I apologize for pronunciation, Sensenbrenner. The bill itself was 342 pages long and changed 15 different laws according to the Constitutional Right Foundation. As you can see, I have up here some of the sections of the Patriot Act. So there were many, many, many facets to this to go over. In October, I believe October 23rd, 2001, the bill was introduced into House and Congress. On October 24th, the bill passed House. On October 25th, it passed Congress. And on October 26th, President Bush signed it into law. It passed with an overwhelmingly positive voting demographic, I guess. In the Senate, 98 people said yes to only one objection, and there was one abstainee. So I ask you, how could you, as a person, read a 342-page document and make a decision on it affecting 15 different laws within the period of a day or two? The bill also has a very loose definition of what a terrorist is. A terrorist is defined as a person or persons who's involved in activities within the United States that involves acts dangerous to human life that appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, to influence the policy or government by intimidating or coercion, and to affect the conduct of the government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. Now, the third one is pretty severe, assassination, kidnapping, but I ask you to try and think of an organization or a person that you might affiliate with the first 2 points of what a terrorist is. So an infrastructure analyst for the NSA actually leaked information to The Guardian about what the Patriot Act allowed the NSA to do. His name was Edward Snowden. The information that the NSA was capturing was called metadata, and it was about all of us. The Patriot Act was not designed or implicitly responsible for this metadata collecting, But according to CNN reporter Jeremy Diamond, a political journalist, it was in 2008 that Bush used his executive authority to give the NSA the green light to begin sweeping phone and internet records after 9/11. He also goes on to say that the Bush administration would eventually use the Patriot Act to justify its program, enshrined it in our law. So the Patriot Act was the scapegoat for what the illegal activities of the NSA were already doing. Okay, so what does this mean to you? Maybe I should actually, quotes, maybe I should let Edward Snowden do the talking.
Turn up the volume on the black box behind you.
Getting intelligence wherever it can, by any means possible, that it believes the community in general is focused on getting intelligence wherever it can, by any means possible, that it believes on the grounds of sort of a self-certification that they serve the national interest. Originally, we saw that focus very narrowly tailored as foreign intelligence gathered overseas. Now, increasingly, we see that it's happening domestically. And to do that, the NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time, simply because that's the easiest, most efficient, and most valuable way to achieve these ends.
So what we talk about when we talk about the Patriot Act is metadata. So what is metadata? And metadata is the information that surrounds a phone call, but not the audio of the phone call. So you would get the time of day, the length of the call, the recipient, and the locations of where the call was transmitted from and to. So the debate on the Patriot Act is twofold. It's A, how much our civil liberties and how much of a breach of our civil liberties it is, and it's B, if this is what we know about what our government's been doing, how much do we not know? Our trust is broken. So there are some people that are fans of the Patriot Act. Tom Ridge, one of our former governors here in Pennsylvania and the head of Homeland Security, is one of those people. And he actually claims that, thanks, Tom Ridge, thanks to Section 212 of the Patriot Act, federal agents here in Pittsburgh were able to quickly obtain the critical internet evidence needed to locate the perpetrator and rescue the girl in harm's way. This man was convicted and spent most of the next 20 years in jail. He does not elaborate on what internet data it was or how they came by this data. Ridge also goes on to say in his speech that the authorities of the Patriot Act exist to protect the very liberties of our founders established in the Constitution by protecting our freedoms. Our civil liberties are enhanced, not diminished. He cites the growing threat in ISIS. And we need the Patriot Act now more than ever. Another politician you may know went on to say, for somebody to just say we're willing to let the Patriot Act expire is irresponsible. And those are the words of Arizona Senator John McCain. And this was the best picture I could find of him. Terrence Jeffrey, another advocate for the Patriot Act and an editor and an experienced journalist, he cited a case called the Portland 7. And this was a terrorist cell in Oregon that I guess most of the events occurred just before, almost 3 months before September 11th. And he describes how the Patriot Act helped stop this from happening, which is incredible because it did not exist at the time. The last paragraph of his article reads, even though NSA intercepts were not involved in this case, NSA surveillance might in fact, in a similar future case, pick up exactly the sort of international communications the Portland 7 made. So, while there are some fans, there are also some critics as well. And the number one thing that most critics are saying is that there are no examples of the Patriot Act's bulk data gathering stopping any attacks. the government has yet to provide any data whatsoever. A presidential review group under President Barack Obama was put together to evaluate the NSA's bulk data gathering methods after Edward Snowden revealed the documents he had acquired. And what they came to the conclusion of was that it was not essential to preventing attacks and could readily have been, the information could have readily been obtained in a timely manner using conventional Section 215 orders. CNN reported that the Privacy and Civil Review, the NSA's surveillance after Snowden went public, the report stated the information contributed to terrorist investigations by the use of Section 215 telephony metadata was not, I apologize, these are somewhat out of order here, was not essential to preventing attacks that could readily have been attained in a timely manner. The Liberties Oversight Board, an independent agency within the executive branch, also couldn't find a single instance involving a threat to the U.S. in which the telephone records program made a concrete difference in the outcome of counterterrorism intelligence. There was even a former White House counterterrorism advisor, Richard Clarke, who said there's no way that you can claim that there's a single terrorist act that was prevented because of the telephony metadata collection program. So all this is good and well, but what can we do in the future? Why does this matter? And frankly, the Patriot Act doesn't. It expired in 2015. However, there is a new act taking its place called the Freedom Act. And the front runner is the same Republican representative from Wisconsin who wrote the Patriot Act. It is due to our lack of attention to what's happening in Washington that these things are allowed to occur. It's because we're distracted. We're distracted by the Kardashians. We're distracted by the news media that provide 80% crime stories and 20% everything else. And we live in a capitalistic economy. This is because it's what we ask for, not because what we're given. We need to ask for better. That is our job. We need to say no to Big Brother. The Freedom Act, even though it is aptly named like the Patriot Act, it does not mean that it doesn't come at a cost. So to wrap things up, I told you a little bit about the Patriot Act. It's a very in-depth topic. I actually only covered one section, Section 215 of the Patriot Act. And there are 4 more sections that critics are claiming violate our civil liberties. Well, the one thing I want to leave you with is that we do have the power to change these things if we see it fit. We the people. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Benjamin Franklin, and this is not it. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Thank you for your time.